Did you know that Sideburns was named after a real person? Did you know that cereal, a breakfast food, was named after a Roman goddess Ceres, the goddess of grain and agriculture? Did you know that? I didn't know that. It's amazing what you find when you go digging into the history of English words. We are surrounded by everyday words that were actually named after a real person or a fictional mythological person. And then we have words like sandwich and boycott and mesmerize and nicotine and hundreds of other words. These are what are called eponyms, and each eponym has its own story and history because it's about a person. How many of these 10 eponymous words did you know? Well, let's dive in and find out. Just imagine if your name became a household word. That would be bizarre. Now, it used to be that one of the most well-known eponyms was the word boycott, but I'm thinking that not many people these days realize that the word boycott was named after a person. The term comes from Captain Charles Boycott, an English land agent in Ireland during the late 19th century. Boycott was hired by Lord Erne, a landowner in the County Mayo, to collect rents from the tenant farmers. When Boycott tried to evict farmers unable to pay their rents due to poor harvests, the local Irish Land League apparently organized a peaceful protest against him. They encouraged the locals to shun him completely. Workers refused to work with him, shopkeepers refused to sell to him, and even the postal service refused to bring his mail. This campaign against boycott was so successful and widely publicized that the word boycott quickly entered the English lexicon as the term for organized, non-violent, social, and economic ostracism. Please don't boycott this channel. Give it a thumbs up. Crapper is another eponym, though its story has become a mix of truth and myth over the years. The term is linked to Thomas Crapper, an English plumber who lived in the 19th century. Now, Crapper didn't invent the flush toilet, but he did play a significant role in popularizing and improving sanitation technology. Now, the slang term crap for excrement existed long before Thomas Crapper, so the association between his name and the colloquial term is largely coincidental. Crapper's prominent branding on the toilets led American soldiers stationed in England during World War I to start calling toilets crappers. And this name eventually found its way into popular usage, cementing Crapper's name in plumbing and bathroom slang forever. Diesel, not Vin Diesel, but the fuel and the diesel engine. The name diesel actually comes from Rudolf Diesel, a German inventor who wanted to create an engine that was way more efficient than the clunky steam engines of his time. He was all about saving fuel and making engines work smarter, not harder. So in the 1890s, he came up with the diesel engine, which used something called compression ignition. Basically, the fuel would ignite on its own without a spark, making it super efficient and great for heavy-duty work. Unfortunately, Diesel himself never got to see how big his invention would become, because in 1913, during a trip across the English Channel, he mysteriously vanished, probably drowned. Despite that mysterious ending, his name lives on forever in billions of diesel engines worldwide. Mesmerize is another fascinating eponym, and its story traces back to Franz Anton Mesmer, an 18th century German physician. Mesmer was a pioneer in what he called animal magnetism, a theory that proposed there was a natural energy flowing in living things that could be influenced to heal ailments. Mesmer believed he could channel this invisible force to cure patients, often using a combination of gestures, intense eye contact, and even magnets to realign their energy. He became quite famous in this time, with patients reporting dramatic effects, but his practices were controversial. A commission led by none other than Benjamin Franklin investigated Mesmer's methods and concluded that the results were due to the power of suggestion, rather than any scientific force. Although Mesmer's theory of animal magnetism was debunked, apparently, his charismatic influence over patients led to the term mesmerize, meaning to hold someone's attention as if in a trance, much like the spellbinding effect he had on his followers. Please like, share, subscribe. You are getting sleepy. Anyways, today we use the word to describe anything that captivates or hypnotizes, really a legacy of Mesmer's work, even though the science behind it didn't stand the test of time. Nicotine is another intriguing eponym, and its story begins with Jean Nicot, a 16th century French diplomat and scholar. In 1560, Nicot was serving as the French ambassador to Portugal when he encountered tobacco plants, which were then relatively unknown in Europe. Nicot became fascinated by the plant and its supposed medicinal properties, believing it could cure a range of ailments from headaches to ulcers, he sent tobacco leaves and seeds back to the French royal court, where they gained popularity. The plant quickly spread across Europe, and its addictive properties became evident. In recognition of Nicot's role in introducing and popularizing tobacco in France, the active chemical in the plant was named nicotine in the early 19th century, though Nicot likely never imagined his name would be linked to one of the world's most widely used and addictive substances. The eponym Sideburns comes from Ambrose Burnside, a Union Army general during the American Civil War. Burnside was known for his distinctive facial hair, thick strips of hair connecting to his mustache, but leaving his chin clean-shaven. This unusual style of facial hair became so closely associated with him that it was initially called Burnsides. Over time, the term was flipped to sideburns, reflecting the fact that the hair grew on the sides of the face. Burnside's legacy as a general may be somewhat mixed, but his bold fashion choice ensured his name lives on in the world of facial hair. Now, I just have to say this, one of my favorite clips from The Simpsons is when Mr. Burns told the baseball players that he will not tolerate any sideburns on his team, on his company team. It's just a classic example of miscommunication. It's classic. I'm gonna play that right here, this clip.
For the last time, get rid of those sideburns.
Look, Mr. Burns, I don't know what you think sideburns are, but...
Don't argue with me, just get rid of them! Mattingly! I thought I told you to trim those sideburns! Go home! You're off the team, for good!
Now, the word pants comes from the character Pantalone in the 16th century Italian theater, known for his tight-fitting trousers. He had his tight pants on.
Well, I talked to Mayor Grimble the other day, and he declared my pants the tightest in the land.
Now you listen to me, you sick son of a bitch.
By the 17th century, similar trousers were called pantaloons, later shortened to pants in English. Now, interestingly, the character's name traces back to Saint Pantaleon, a 4th century Christian martyr revered in Venice, so linking modern trousers to a saint's name through a Venetian tradition. Now, if your name's Derek, your name has a rather grim origin. It comes from the name Thomas Derrick, an English executioner in the late 16th and early 17th centuries. Derrick was notorious for his role in hanging criminals during the Elizabethan era, and he is said to have executed over 3,000 people during his career. What makes Derrick notable is that he invented a more efficient system for carrying out executions. Over time, the name Derrick was associated with any type of hoisting device that used a beam and a pulley, which allowed him to hang people with less manual labor. The word vandalism comes from the Vandals, a Germanic tribe infamous for sacking Rome in 455 AD, an event that led to their association with widespread destruction. Though their actions may have been exaggerated over time, their name became linked with the reckless ruin of property, particularly culture and artistic works. By the 18th century, vandalism was used to describe intentional acts of destruction, and today it refers broadly to any deliberate defacement or damage of public or private property. Vandalism. The word silhouette comes from Etienne de Silhouette, an 18th century French finance minister known for his strict austerity measures. Due to his cost-cutting policies, his name became associated with anything cheap or minimal. At the same time, a popular artistic trend emerged of creating simple, inexpensive shadow profiles cut from black paper, which lacked the detail of full paintings or sculptures. And these shadow portraits were seen as a reflection of Silhouette's penny-pinching policies, and so they were mockingly named silhouettes. Now, over time, the word lost its negative connotation and came to refer to any outline or shadowed profile, but its origin as an eponym for frugality remains. Silhouette, you're frugal. Now you're wise to the words. How many of these eponyms did you know? There's plenty more in future videos.
Making moves, trying to get away.